What's up, everyone? This is Dan from Rebellious Noise, and once again I am joined by Scott, Rob and Lucas, and we are here to discuss Backlash 2020. Now, as you guys may have seen, we did a prediction video just a week or so ago with all of our, who we thought were going to win our predictions for the show. What we're going to do is we're going to actually add those up in a little fun little league thing at the end. We're going to go
little competition.
Yeah, a little competition. We're going to go through and we are going to see who the Liverpool of the thing is and top the table. But there we go. I'll explain more about it towards the end. So let's just kick off with Backlash, aka the greatest show.
Wow.
So we kick off with the United States Championship match on the kickoff show. Apollo Crews and Andrade. Did anyone watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Right.
How was it?
How was it?
Yeah. No. To be fair, it was possible. It was a TV match, though. I think ultimately that Apollo, we're still kind of having to get used to seeing actually wrestle and do stuff, because this is the problem with WWE. They end up with guys like Apollo who've been in the company, I think, 4 years now on the main roster. I think 4 years, and I can only think of 2 matches that he's ever had. One of them being when he won the title, and
the other one, Backlash.
Yeah, Backlash last night. Yeah,
he's actually pretty good though.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal
great,
talent.
yeah.
And I'm glad that Apollo won very cleanly. Kevin Owens came out on commentary as well for it, which I think was done to kind of probably further something in that division in the future. I think it's good. I'd be up for seeing Apollo and Kevin Owens collide, and that's a very marketable match, I guess.
It was weird he wasn't on the main show, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and quite a few stars actually. But yeah, I saw a highlight of that, when they showed a replay, because I saw Kevin Owens was wearing a tie, so that was nice.
Yeah, no, it was inoffensive. I think it was about 10 minutes long in total. Standard kind of pre-show match, but I think the having the addition of obviously a live audience, so to speak, paid members of the PC, so I think that helped it. But I mean, it's one of those where you guys didn't watch it. I wouldn't say you have to watch it, but if you want to watch it, then go and watch
Feel
it.
free, yeah. Well, you've told me if it happens, it's fine.
Yeah, so Apollo won the match with a sit-out powerbomb. There we go, still United States champion.
Glad he's still the champ, I'll say that.
Yeah. And apparently the US title is rumoured to be getting a new design soon as well. So who knows when that's going to be, and it'll probably look exactly the same as every other belt, just with United States written across the bottom.
Yeah. I did read something about that. I don't know how true it is, but it was something to do with they have the design ready, but until they can market and make all the toys for it and stuff, they're not going to do it.
All the replicas and stuff.
Yeah. So
it's a good.
Until that's done.
It's definitely the time to hold back on new.
But I'm guessing, isn't it? I mean, July 4th is coming up. That could be a good high-end to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice United States start. I think because the 4th's on a weekend, or it's nearish to a show they have. Saturdays. Yeah, Raw the Monday afterwards. Nice.
Even if they reveal it in a social media thing on the 4th and then on the Raw. Yeah.
I think Apollo's a great guy. He's a great company man too. He's obviously. He's a good smiley face, I guess, and I guess having him unveil a new title could be a nice thing for him to do. So yeah, I'm down for that. But perhaps they might wait a bit longer so they can get obviously merchandise. they love a bit of merch, don't they, WWE? I love it.
They do indeed. So now we move on to the main show, and we kicked off with a triple threat match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Which this was a match that we kind of thought was going to happen, but at the time it wasn't confirmed, so we didn't make any predictions on this match. It was Sasha Banks and Bayley defending the titles against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss and the IIconics. What did you guys think of this one?
I thought it was a good opener. I actually quite enjoyed when things happen a bit strangely and a little bit different, like picture in picture. I like stuff like that. So Bayley continuing her interview and then coming out. That was, I don't know, I liked it really. But for the match itself, pretty decent match. It wasn't the most spectacular or anything like that. But another match in kind of, I guess, what's been a good week for women's wrestling as far as Spotlight and stuff like that. So, yeah, quite enjoyed it. there was, even though it looked a bit awkward, but sometimes when moves look awkward, they look even better. You had the crossbody through the ropes from Peyton, Royce, for example, landing on everybody. Again, might not look as graceful and smooth as other moves, but I thought that kind of added to its charm, really. It looked just a cluster, which is what those kind of moves need to be. And I really enjoyed it. Actually, there was a little part where Bliss, I think she did like a double knee stomp, rolled through, jumped it on Sasha, rolled through, jumped up onto Bayley, did the Fez press, did it on someone else, and that was a nice little sequence as well. It was something I hadn't really seen from Bliss. So yeah, enjoyed that. But again, it was one of those matches that was, it was just it was a decent match, really.
And what did you think of like where it was? So it was the triple threat tag team match, but it was actually wrestled like a normal triple threat rather than like one team in and then you can tag in anyone. It was like three people in the ring together, which I
actually prefer that, to be honest. I think, and I don't. I mean, sometimes in the story, depends what's going on in the story. Sometimes you can you can tag anyone, and you haven't got a member of your team in there, and all that kind of stuff, and tagging someone from another team, and it being too hard, and them looking at each other awkwardly, and all that. It does work, but generally speaking, I think I prefer it like this, where you've just got a representative from each team in there, and it feels like a just triple threat match, and then literally a triple threat tag it turns into. So I actually preferred it being like this. And I'd like to see more matches, like tag matches, go this way, to be honest.
Do you think this is going to be the new norm then? That it's going to be when they do triple threats or a four-way of some sort when there's tag teams? Do you think that's going to, because we kind of see that happen on In Your House last week, the way they done that. So do you think there was a trial there and they're going to try it on the main show as well to see, or? Because I enjoyed it. Yeah,
maybe. I just can't see it being something that WWE are like, you know what, like making a point of, I mean, like, this is how we're doing it going forward. I don't think it's a bit late in the day for those kind of stipulations here, as far as like, this is the new normal. I just think but then again, like, it's usually what suits them at the time. But I don't think there was anything particularly that suited them about doing it this way this time. So yeah, maybe they are, because I don't know why they did it, but
it felt a little refreshing. I don't know if it was the same for everyone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you said, the match was good. It was a great opener. It was great for women's wrestling again to open up a pay-per-view, and show what they've been doing, what they're working on. I like everything that's happening. I'm enjoying the thing that's happening between Sasha and Bayley. We're still unsure. Are they okay? Are they not? And the fact that this time it's Bayley that's the villainous one than Sasha, it's different. So again, it's something new.
And they're not. I mean, it's one of those, like, it's obvious, we know what's going on, but they don't pull the trigger when you think. And I think that's why. It's like, even with that backstage bit, I thought she was going to say something that, Sasha's not around now, but she didn't. That didn't happen. So I feel like they're constantly teasing us with, this is where it's going to happen. Even with the belts, I thought, oh no, they're not going to do it with the belts. And then as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, maybe they will. Maybe in Sasha's head, the women's title is more important, that she's willing to even lose the tag titles and screw it in a tag match. Maybe that's what's going to happen. So I like it because it's bringing up a lot of scenarios of, like, trying to figure out what the character would do, what the character's thinking and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm enjoying this carrying on. I'm fine with it not exploding just yet.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's something big, which would need its own kind of thing for, if it's going to be a SmackDown women's title, or it's going to be just a match, obviously, without a championship. I'm guessing it will involve a women's title, because there is obviously so much built around the title. I quite enjoy this one, to be fair. I think similar to TakeOver In Your House with the women's tag opening first, I think it just really feels refreshing. I guess obviously we are going to be like 6 months in and we're still having the women's opening up the tag. Maybe we'll start to be, okay, this is now like the normal thing. But I think, it just feels really refreshing. Really different. It's a nice kind of thing to kind of see when you open a pay-per-view. I'm with you too, Scott. I felt that some of the stuff looked not so smooth, but it worked, especially, like you say, that crossbody through the ropes. Alexa Bliss, I felt, did really well in this contest. I think, her and Nikki Cross are a nice team together. It kind of fits. There's some nice things happening in WWE. Like, I know, obviously, the narrative that obviously the internet will drive you to is WWE are evil and they're horrible and whatever. But there are some nice things happening. I think Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, like, they're two completely different people, but they gelled and bonded through wrestling. Similar
Yeah,
with Mandy Rose and Otis, they're legitimate friends,
and
which I just find fantastic. But
I like that they've not yet got bored of it either, because I talk about it so many times on other episodes and stuff, but like where they throw tag teams together and sometimes it works and they're lucky. Again, this is one of those times, but what's refreshing is, and maybe it is because of what's been going on in the world and they can't get out of certain storylines when they want to, so maybe that's why they're holding off. But I like that they haven't just got bored of it and already split them up, like where they're starting to feel like a genuine team and like an odd couple that works. So yeah, I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I think sometimes they make the best tag teams. Like you look at like the New Day, and you look at like
The Bar.
the bar went the bar.
Cesaro, it works for him a lot. Even with Tyson Kidd, that was a great team as well.
Exactly.
So,
I think it just depends on who's there and that chemistry they get.
And I think Sasha and Bayley are really, really improving as well. Like not improving, impressing. Sorry, they've always been great, but they're impressing a lot. Like I'm loving Bayley singing and rapping to Sasha Banks' song and trying to get and I think this like she. Well, both of them worked really well. I said it a few weeks back, like with them on this kind of like a no audience thing. Like we were getting to see people playing up to the camera, playing up to the other people that are in the scenario, the commentators, and they're doing it all the time, like even on Backlash Lane on the commentary table and stuff like that. But now that you've added in, it's like they're building back up. They've added in a few people, the PC guys, and now she's reacting with them. She's trying to get them to sing along, getting annoyed when they're not, bragging to them and stuff like that. And I feel like, at the moment, we're seeing new elements get popped in, and it's like, okay, how's Bayley going to interact with these guys? How's Bayley going to interact with these guys? So now I'm actually looking forward to seeing an audience and Bayley's like crowd work being even better than it was before this started, basically, because she's kind of like built back up.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about her as a heel at first, but I think she's really like grown into the character.
Yeah,
and I think as well they're always. I think the way they're going to eventually, I think, play on this story is the fact that if eventually when they do lose the titles, if it's Bayley that gets pinned again, then it's going to be the second time that Sasha's won them and Bayley's lost them. So
that'd be good.
that could be a way. And we now know that it's going to be on NXT on Wednesday night. It's going to be Sasha Banks and Bayley defending the titles on NXT against Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox.
Which is very strange, but I'm looking forward to the match, and I'm looking forward to them being on NXT. But yeah,
it seems to have stemmed from AEW doing lots of tag team matches. They had like a tag team. Well, they're doing tags all the time because also they're doing the NXT tag titles next week on NXT Weekly with Breezango taking on the NXT tag champions. Imperium, that's who they are. So I don't watch Weekly NXT. I watched it last week when they revealed the tag match. And I was like, this is really odd. Vincent Man tag team wrestling, and now we're getting women's tag. And then there's another tag as well.
Probably Triple H just playing a rib on him because he knows he don't like that.
I mean, this might be all we're going to get for the next 6 months, maybe. NXT the tags, but
it's a good few weeks to be a tag team, isn't it?
I think it's good.
3 week push.
I think it's good though because the women's tag titles they keep putting over that they can be defended on every brand, and you've rarely seen them be off the brand that the wrestlers are holding on. Because even when like a Bliss and Cross had them, I think they just literally stuck to SmackDown, I believe, whatever brand they were on for a lot of the time. Then went to Raw like once, and then it was like okay.
I think it went to Raw, and then that was when the Kabuki Warriors were on Raw, and then that's obviously when they got into that feud and they ended up losing it, and then
because didn't Kabuki Warriors have like one defense? Did they go to NXT with the tag titles?
Possibly.
Not too sure. It's the same for the 24/7 title. R-Truth, sharp out NXT, please.
Yeah,
it's meant to be defended anywhere. Never changed hands there.
I'm liking how the women's tag titles are being used again. We were all complaining about it before, so to give WWE their credit, they are, and it's starting to feel like it's got a bit of, somewhat of a lineage now. I liked that the commentators, I can't remember which one it was, but they were saying, oh, such and such to this one, and they lost to this one. You've got to remember these guys. So this match for these 3 teams is really significant. So it made the match feel more important. It made the championships feel more important. So you can't ask for much better, really.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind seeing this again at Extreme Rules, but with like a stipulation kind of match, like ladder match or something like that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously Sasha Banks and Bayley retained the championships. So, yeah, I think right decision in the end, I think. It would have been obviously nice to see the IIconics win it again. But
yeah, definitely, yeah. But we don't want to hot potato it, do we? So
No, I always like to try and keep them on the champs as much as possible. So we then move on to the big blood feud going into Backlash, which was Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus, which was the second longest match on the entire show, clocking in at nearly 17 minutes.
Yeah,
Took the piss, boys, didn't it?
Yeah, clever. Before we did the predictions and preview, obviously, and in that I was talking about the insensitivity of some of the things in the storyline. And since then, obviously, we were hit with another episode of TV, and yeah, again, my thoughts are the same. Really, I like the edit. The promo package is good. The performances are good. If you're gonna do it, you're doing it well. But I don't know. Still not a fan of the whole DUI thing, and I don't know. It was a bit childish, really. The throwing the pee and the standing behind the thing and weeing into a glass and all this stuff. But yeah, so going back,
a hell of a lot of weed, though, man. How much must he have been drinking?
so going back into this match, I was basically pulled back into that kind of wish this feud weren't happening kind of thing. But again, I got to give credit to the way they're performing. Like some of Sheamus's mic work is very funny. It's stuff I like about Sheamus. He's just being, like I said in the preview, a nasty piece of work. So I'm enjoying that. I don't know. I still just feel uncomfortable with it. So I'm looking forward to them to moving on. Yeah. As for the match, Sheamus winning. I don't know. Is it? I don't feel enough really at the moment to care about who won. So yeah.
You've got to have Sheamus win, because then the next one, Extreme Rules, it's all like it's Jeff Hardy branded pretty much. It's a Jeff Hardy playground essentially.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm sure. I just hope they move away from the DUI thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they don't give it a silly stipulation. One of their, when they have a bespoke kind of stipulation, like piss on a pole match, something like that. Like, because I think they can. I think personally that Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, both very talented, and they could salvage this feud. But they need the creative to get back on board and understand that, look, this angle happened, and I guess, while they can't completely drop it, they can tone it down. And if Sheamus and Jeff are going to have a lovely Extreme Rules match next month, where Sheamus are going to batter the hell out of him, and Jeff's going to dive off the perspex and dive off a set, I'm all for it. And I think that's great. Like, if that's what if that's what the payoff is, and we see Jeff's one-timing off the PT, I'm all for it. But if the payoff is literally something like, if Jeff loses, he has to be Sheamus' slave, or one of those silly ones. Yeah, I'm just a bit like, why are you doing this to two people who are really talented, and two people who, let's be honest, like, they're closer to giving it up than they are from being able to start again. You can't keep going, okay, well, we're going to fail Jeff Hardy in 2020. We've got another few years of him. Like, you might not. Like, so there's so many things you can dive off. So long you dive off.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, say, and how Dan's kind of like jokingly saying, blood feud and stuff. Like, I think if they start pushing it in that direction and then having a big blow off Extreme Rules match that's really impressive and like we know it can be, then great. But I'm more worried, like you say, Lucas, about giving it a strange stipulation, whether that's if someone wins or just what you have to do in the match, especially with all this kind of stuff they're doing at the moment with the kind of no fans era matches. I am worried about it. But again, it's like you say, like, they're performing really well though, and even the promo package, while I don't like it, like the mugshot stuff, boom, boom, boom. like as a presentation, it looks great. But again, it's just that kind of, I'd rather we toned it down. And it felt like when we did the preview that they were toning it down. They were going in the right direction of, no, there's going to be a thing. I'm glad they quickly got to the point of saying Jeff Hardy is in the right here, was framed. But then they kind of set it back again with doing the testing and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm hoping it goes in a better direction.
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, I enjoyed the match. It was very back and forward. There was at one point you'd think Jeff was getting the upper hand, and then Sheamus would, do the comeback and that, which was great. I love seeing a wrestler get their stuff in, and the other wrestler allowing it, and then when they do their comeback, the roles reversed. You know, it's great to see. Although I did say on the preview that I knew Sheamus was going to win to finish this, because I think it's not a case of Jeff beating Sheamus; it's Jeff beating his demons.
Yeah.
So I feel like it needs to be, if they go again, I think the whole thing will end up at TLC. It'll be like, if Jeff doesn't win, then his career's done. It'll be like a career match. I think that's the only way they'll get out of it, because Jeff needs to battle his demons, and essentially that's what he's doing. And the moment the demon that he's got to face is Sheamus.
Do you mean TLC the show, or do you mean a TLC match?
Sorry, I mean SummerSlam.
I was going to say, ain't that like December these days?
Yeah. Last one before the Rumble.
I was just thinking TLC was at SummerSlam, because we were talking about it being 20 years.
I remember in the preview.
So yeah, I reckon it'll end up at SummerSlam in not a TLC match, but a match where it'll be like Jeff's career's on the line against Sheamus or something like that. It'll,
To be fair, they could have a TLC match, the one with pins. They've done it once before. I mean, just you saying the 20 years thing, I think they are looking at that. WWE, they love these dates and these anniversaries, and you know they've got Jeff involved in the company. I think, I'll be for that. But look, I think, like I just said, I think I'm just for if it's gonna be something where it's like, okay, wow me, which I believe they can do. You know, Sheamus is, you know, if you give Sheamus objects to hit people with, that's amazing. And Jeff can jump off stuff. Like, you know, put those two together, that's all you need. You don't need drug tests and doctors and, you know, a gallon of urine.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not a big fan of TLC pins, pinning matches, but if you can't put anything at the top, they should probably do that, because I'm worried they're going to put like his driver's license up the top, or like for Sheamus to grab a bottle of Jack Daniels or something. You know, please don't do anything like that. So if it's, you know, if they're not going to put anything better symbolic up there, then maybe have as the pin match.
Jeez,
but yeah, in terms of the match
in TNA.
In terms of the match, I just felt it was a bit too long. I think I can see why it was long. I guess obviously they put so much time into the angle. And the other stuff on the show ran, you know, they did have it quite short, but it just felt too long, especially with Sheamus being in control. But the last flurry was particularly good, and that bro kick on the outside, I thought Jeff was dead. I thought he was dead.
The finish where he ran across along the barrier and then
he had obviously. He couldn't obviously get the full run, you know, and credit to Jeff, obviously. He tried to obviously adapt to the new environment that we found ourselves in. But yeah, that bro kick, my God. And yeah, it was nice to see Sheamus go over, but you must also remember Jeff's now not won a match in 2 years. Singles match with Peyton.
What?
Yeah, his last singles win was against Randy Orton, Backlash 2018.
Oh my God!
Is that one where he had the screwdriver in his ear and all that?
That was the Hell in a Cell, wasn't it?
Of course, yeah. But it must have been the same feud though. But
yeah, I think they did Backlash then in like September, didn't they? And then I think it was September. Got moved for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then they did the Hell in a Cell in October. But yeah, it's been almost 2 years now since Jeff's won a singles match in pay-per-view. Obviously, he's been injured for a lot of that time.
Yeah, it hasn't helped.
But it's still very like, it's one of those matches you go, really? He's got to. Then mind you saying that R-Truth is like 5 years. So.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Forgot about that one.
Yeah. Cool.
But match-wise, yeah, like the content, can't complain, but maybe just shorten it, and hopefully next month they can have an all-out brawl that we know they can have.
So now we move into the next match, which was the Raw Women's Championship match featuring the champion Asuka versus Nia Jax. Now, I'm going to take the lead on this one. My first thing, I thought this was a very decent match, actually. I thought it was really hard hitting. Shocking finish. Shocking, not as in like, shocking as in like,
Yeah, I think I'd agree, to be honest. It was I think it was a match we all kind of thought it probably should be and could be. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on at the moment with Nia Jax. Check out our preview episode if you want to see how we feel about all that. But yeah, I feel like they played it safe, but come across quite well. But like you, I agree. I think the end, although I thought the ending was okay if it was, and I'm going to reference something that Lucas said about the pre-show here. It felt like a TV match. And so much of this show felt like TV matches to me, and just feels like I'm watching Raw. And again, we've mentioned it time and time again, there's a lot of factors at the moment that kind of mean that is going to be the way. But yeah, just this one really felt like that, because I literally felt like at the end of the match, that match didn't matter, because then a graphic came up for what was happening soon, which was, I think, Street Profits, which wasn't, I don't think, the next match, but Street Profits versus Viking Raiders was the promo that came up. And again, I just felt like, oh, Raw. It just made me feel like I was watching Raw. And yeah, it wasn't a good finish.
I mean, and it was actually a finish that actually got changed on the morning of the pay-per-view. You know, apparently it was Asuka was scheduled to pin Nia clean, and then out of nowhere Vince was just like, oh, you know what, we're just going to go with the double count out. And then apparently the plans are now to have a rematch at Extreme Rules, and then Asuka Charlotte at SummerSlam. So it's like, well, you've already given away now what's going to happen at Extreme Rules. So if you're leading to Asuka Charlotte for the belt,
if those rumors are to be believed, and if that is all true, then yeah, that is.
Apparently the thing that it's been changed, like that it was changed on the day, that was from like some of like the Fightful and all them. So. You know, it's like sources within WWE apparently have claimed that it's it was got changed on the morning. So
yeah, I guess it's one of those where they do this kind of finish because they want to drag it out that little bit further. But in some ways, they were both protected in this match. I think they both come across quite well, but it was I don't know. I was all right how it was going until it ended. Just made me feel like nothing mattered.
Yeah. So me and Lucas had a slight conversation, a difference of opinions with in your house pay-per-view with Ciampa, right? And I said a double like count out would make sense for a rivalry going like that. For them, I think that would be fine. For this, with Nia Jax and Asuka, it was the worst decision that I think they could have made for this match. They should have just allowed her to pin her clean. Or the only other thing they could have done is got Nia disqualified with being either too rough or like stand on choking her or something for too long and not breaking a count. Just something that way if you want to make her look strong. But this was a real bad finish. And I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I felt this finish. I didn't think the match was up to much though. Like I think they've had better showings, them two. My opinion on this change, if it did happen on the morning, whatever, is potentially I'm guessing they thought of if Nia loses, that will be a new challenger needed for Asuka, and perhaps they just feel that with Extreme Rules 4 weeks away, well, it still is 4 weeks of build, I guess. They maybe just want to refresh this, continue this story, and then introduce Charlotte into it. But I was hoping that, especially as they've shared the main titles, different challenges every month for the last few months, that perhaps they did the same thing with the women, but it looks like we are going to get this again. And if we add that to the potential, at least, for a rematch of the women's tag titles, even though it will be in an Extreme Rules match, are we going to go back? I'm just worried we're going to go back into that mold of rematch, and the same people just involved with the belts. And I think they need to be careful how they do it. Potentially, I guess like Charlotte could ignite the feud, I guess, on Raw or this week on one of the many shows she's probably going to be wrestling on, Christian and everything.
Probably on Dynamite as well.
But yeah, overall, the match didn't do anything for me, and nor did the finish. I think this is a finish that I can see why they do it. I think they think that both people look protected, but to me, I think both people look bad when they do this finish. Especially Asuka on this occasion, because it's her first title defense.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Already getting counted out, and Asuka, I think she's gone on a lovely journey from obviously recapturing the women's tag belt, getting the women's tag belts, getting the Money in the Bank, and the Grand Slam for the women, and getting the Raw Women's title. That was fantastic, and the really emotional segment with Becky Lynch, obviously, back in May, after the Money in the Bank, and now we're kind of back to double count outs and feuding with Nia Jax.
Yeah,
I think they're both better than this match.
I definitely think that if anyone suffered from this decision, it is Asuka, because if the roles were reversed and Asuka was a heel, it wouldn't have been as bad because you would have still had Nia looking powerful and dominant, which is what they planned to do. Asuka couldn't quite do it. Yeah. But then Asuka running back up the ramp holding the belt just felt a bit like, oh, I got away with it. And because she's only just won it and this kind of build she's back on, it didn't really fit the character. It didn't fit the legitimacy that they've kind of, you know, Becky Lynch's promo, going back to that, you know, when she was like, you've been the best wrestler for a long time. This didn't look like that to me. So although I feel like they both look somewhat good in the match, I think the ending, if anything, affected Asuka more in a negative way, just simply because the heel face dynamic. If it switched the other way, it wouldn't have been as bad, I feel. But you can't have a baby face running up the ramp like that, clutching onto a title in a defense.
Yeah, it's more villain thing.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
Go. So obviously that one, it's a bit weird, like with the prediction things. Like we all picked Asuka to win, and you know, we'll get into more like the logistics of it later on. But you know, screwed my bloody prediction up. Thanks a lot. Cheers for that, mate. Yeah, lovely. So now we move on to the Universal Championship match between Braun Strowman taking on the Miz and John Morrison. Now, we actually found out about this match that it was actually whoever got the pin on Braun Strowman, if it was going to be Miz or Morrison, then they would be the champion. Because I know, like, you, Scott, were worrying about, are they going to do some kind of freebird rule? Or like if they were going to do a lay cool style, like cut the belt in half kind of thing. But yeah, there was a bit before the match when Miz and Morrison were having a promo thing, and then Otis was saying to Mandy Rose, "Oh, if one of them win, I might cash in." So
nice little reminder of that.
Yeah, and I know they teased it a little bit on SmackDown with Tucker when he was back as well, and he's like, you know, don't forget you got Money in the Bank. But this was actually the shortest match of the entire show as well, the Universal title match.
There was a lot about it that I kind of questioned. Like you alluded to in the preview, I was really, really not looking forward to it because I was worried about what they might do. But yeah, so when did they announce the whole, like, the one who gets the pin gets the title? Because I only heard it for the first time on the show. Okay, so it was.
When he pulled up in the car.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was the first time they were mentioning it. So, yeah, basically, stupid.
They probably hadn't made their mind up.
Exactly. They probably should have said it earlier in the week, or when they made the match, they should have said this, because the whole time I've just not looked forward to the match because of that. Right, so that dampened it a little bit as far as my kind of stress and anxiety about what the match was going to be. And then I was more excited about, you know, like the two of them scrambling, and we did get a bit of that. So for that, I'm fine with it, because in storyline, it still kind of doesn't make sense, right? The whole point, my argument was like, you know, us lot, we could all go for Braun, and then, you know, so that could still be the case here. But this is, I'm thinking, you know, logistics as the character, right? That's Braun's bad. That's his decision. If he wants to make a stupid decision, have two people going against him, where one person can win the title, even one of them can, fair enough. It's not a traditional singles match, but that's just the character making a bad decision, in my opinion. You can put it down to that. But the whole, like, will they share the belts? That's awful. So I can kind of forgive it a little bit here and be like, you know what? In storyline, Braun's just too cocky, Braun's too confident, and it paid off for him and all that kind of stuff, right? So, again, I like how they used that kind of, I think it was Morrison, weren't it, going for the pin, and Miz broke it up.
It was essentially a triple threat match, but you have to pin the champion to win the title. It's not like you can pin, like, so. I think that's probably, for me, how a triple threat would work, kind of, really. But,
I mean, as far as like the content in a match, again, some nice high spots with Jomo doing the corkscrew over the top rope, and even at the beginning doing like the music video, I thought, why not, man? I like seeing stuff like this. It's interesting when it's Miz and Morrison. It's the old Miz and Morrison I love, and when they were coming out and doing the entrance, I just felt, I can't believe I'm getting to watch Miz and Morrison again. So for that, I'm glad. I think they suit this role with Braun really, really well. And the performances that they all kind of put into it is pretty decent. You know, the stomp and the skull-crushing finale is pretty devastating. Not sure if it's something that should be, you know, getting kicked out of and stuff like that. But I know that is the move that he actually stopped him on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think yes. Okay, so at least he didn't kick out of it. But yeah, and then Braun getting control and stuff like that, it is believable because he's is is a big bad man, you know, so you can believe it. But I just felt like it was maybe the two of them should have a little more, and yeah, it was a bit too short for a WWE title match. And the placement was weird, which again we'll get into with the other match coming straight after it. But I felt having two world title matches right next to each other and not being at the end was a bad decision.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match more than I enjoyed the feud, but I did question why it had to exist. I think it's very, very, very clear that Braun is a placeholder champion, and it is just, when is Reigns coming back? You know, it just feels sadly like there's nothing gone into this other than a few kind of pranks that they did on SmackDown a few weeks ago, and you know, ultimately it's led to this. I think what's most frustrating is that if this were just like your average Joe tag team, I'd be like, okay, it's not, you know, it's fine. Like to have a match. I think how long was it? I think it's about 8 minutes or something.
20.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. So, you know, plus an entrance, fair enough. But we're talking about like Miz and Morrison, like two, you know, kind of, Miz has practically been a WWE lifer. And, you know, Morrison obviously fair enough, he had his spell on the Indies, but, you know, he's still, you know, he's come back and he's a great performer. And I just think they're wasting in this opportunity, having a 7-minute match on the pay-per-view. I mean, I guess it just does maybe just tick that box. Now they've had a world title match in this decade, I guess. They're going to go back to probably tag teaming afterwards because they are just waiting for Reigns to come back, I guess. Because maybe this will continue, but I don't really see how. Like they lost, and the dynamic definitely, like you said, like the whole who had to get pinned thing, that made it better. But for me, it was just a bit of a nothing match. I think it's just been overshadowed a lot by the fact that what's been actually happening on TV hasn't been the right thing for this belt. That's the key thing here. Like if it was an R-Truth feud, I'll be down for it. If it's R-Truth, you know, and he's shenanigans, he can get away with it. You know, he did Little Ricky on Raw a few weeks back, and it was hilarious. I felt, but that's him. But for the World Championship, the championship which has been held by Lesnar, Goldberg, you know, The Fiend, like, you know, Seth Rollins even, you know, I think he had a decent run with it. Like, you know, and you had proper matches on pay-per-view, you know, proper feuds, proper rivalries over this belt. And fair enough, you can say we want about Lesnar, but every Lesnar world title match felt like this is a world title match. There's no doubt in your mind going, is this the opener? No. Is this mid-card? Is this a SmackDown match? Is it a Raw match? No, it's the Universal Championship main event, big fight Phil. And I felt this was just like not that. That's what I felt.
That's a great point. It definitely felt like a mid-card match, and it's not a mid-card position to be in, you know. And I think as well, like you've highlighted the fact that Miz and Morrison, and Braun, all the players involved, really, they've been dealt not the best hand, but they've all performed really well with the time they've got, the position they've got. And again, I just felt like, I really am enjoying seeing them back. And you get the snippets of what it could be. But I think Morrison's been so poorly booked since he come back, like even down to the Rumble, like that's where I really got first disappointed by it. But it should have been his big return, and I think him and Miz have done really, really well to make something out of it and kind of bring some of that dirt sheet kind of vibe back and stuff like that. But you can't help but feel like this is just becoming a mid-card situation, and I think you're right. The players involved, the championship involved, this is not where it should be.
Yeah, no, I agree. Overall, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I expected them to be a bit more scrambly earlier on in the match, but the fact that they left it to the last minute kind of made it seem like the Miz was second thinking, like he was thinking, like second guessing of, should I break the match up? Should I break the pin up? Should I not? Other than that, though, it was, as you said, it felt like a mid-card match. Like Lucas said earlier, it's just a TV match. I meant to put it on as an expedition match just to get it done and dusted. And they're kind of just playing what they can at the moment until, as Lucas said, Reigns is back. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I wouldn't want to see anything else continue.
Gotcha.
I actually thought it was quite good, you know. I did like the way that obviously it was the champion has to be pinned to lose the title. You know, as we said, like I wasn't too keen on, as Scott was saying before, like the Freebird rule thing. But I think once it was made clear that the champion had to be beaten, you know, then
could relax a bit.
Once it was made clear that if it was going to be just one champion rather than like co-champs, I did prefer it like that, and I thought it worked well, and I just see at the moment, in my opinion, it seems like the Universal title is more the mid-card title over on SmackDown, and I think for something that you're trying to be pushing as one of your top titles, it's not the way I'd book it, but I'm not booking WWE, so that's not my call to make.
I do like Braun's train gimmick though, and all the steam coming out the top. That's cool.
Well, to be fair, Becky's not there anymore, so they've got to make use of the steam somehow. Haven't they? So talking of titles that they are making into top titles, and the one that should be the top title is the WWE Championship, held by our good friend Drew McIntyre, who took on Bobby Lashley. And this is actually the only match that we were actually split on who was going to win it. Like Lucas went with Bobby Lashley. The other three of us went for a Drew McIntyre retention. So yeah, this match obviously had Drew McIntyre winning it in the end. Lana obviously came out towards the end, causing distraction. Bobby Lashley obviously knocked her off into MVP. That's it's been like a running theme really for the last like couple of pay-per-views, with Lana kind of getting involved, and Drew winning with the Claymore once again, proving that it's the most deadliest move in wrestling at the moment.
They are really hyping up that move, to be fair, and it helps that it looks vicious when Drew does it. So, as for the match, when MVP was coming out with Lashley and they were making an entrance, I just thought I'd like to see this on the big stage, So like we talked about like Lashley kind of being rebuilt, and I wasn't sure if WWE would be, thinking that the audience were ready for that to be happening at the moment, and I think that's probably why Lashley didn't win it. But I wouldn't have been opposed to Lashley winning it, but I think it probably was a good decision at the moment to give Lashley a bit more time to build up. I don't know where they're going with it, but eventually I'd like to see Lashley become champion, even if it's not here. I think they're building him in a positive way. Really good match as well. Like, they started really strong. Nice way to do that full Nelson thing, and basically just destroying Drew before the match began. That was really cool. And another thing, the reverse Alabama Slam, that was really good. It was just good seeing two really agile, strong, tough guys go at it. And they didn't get the best amount of time or the best placement on the cards, especially being straight after another world title match. But for what it was, again, it's another one of those, like, just enjoyed it for what it was. And I think for what is this, a B or a C level pay-per-view these days, it was a decent match, and one that I would have liked to see on that next stage up, maybe a SummerSlam in front of people sort of thing. It's one of those matches where if it felt right, I would really enjoy it.
I really enjoyed the beginning when Drew was still in his are we calling it a jacket? Because it's a bit longer than a jacket. I don't know what you want to call it. But still in his attire. And it was still trying to kind of get out of what just happened with him being in a full Nelson. So he was trying to shake it off, but he was playing it off well. Yeah. And it got to like the middle part of the match, and I literally thought to myself, I don't know who's going to win. Yeah. Like, normally you can call a match pretty well with WWE when you've watched it for long enough. You guys must agree. But at this point, I was like, I really don't know. And I was so invested. And this new side of Bobby Lashley has done wonders for him. I'm so invested in him, as he could potentially be an amazing champion with MVP on his side. I didn't like the ending. That was my only issue. Yeah. Understand they had to find a way to get the ending done, but I wasn't a fan of it. That was the only bit I didn't enjoy.
I think you've got to use Lana. You've got to move her away from this storyline somehow, and I guess this is the way to do it. But all it made me think was, it'd be good if Rusev was around. Like for her to go back to. So. But yeah, it was. I'm like you, mate. I really enjoyed the match. We saw cross faces, we saw ankle locks. It was real, like, technical as well. There was some real good back and forth. And again, you're right. You didn't know who was going to win, but if anything kind of soured it, it was that dodgy ending.
Yeah, I mean, no, I quite enjoyed the match. Well, more than quite enjoyed. I thought it was a very good match. I think we've both forgotten that Lashley could do that kind of stuff. I think obviously he's been misused for a long time in WWE. He's faced the flip flop of turning face and villain every couple of months treatment, which obviously a lot of people went through, and obviously got dumped into a storyline which wasn't more than just the initial angle on the wedding, wasn't going anywhere. I really enjoyed it. I mean, for the reason that you said, Scott, I think it was just a good example of two kind of bigger guys going at it, and a solid heavyweight contest. I think had it not been on this card, it would have obviously got longer and would obviously most likely be last, which could have helped. But no, I think it's good, and I think Lashley, has come on leaps and bounds, like back into, well, he's always been good in my head, but he's ready now as a viable world title contender. And I'm down with that, because Raw's problem for a long time was that it wouldn't build anyone up apart from Seth Rollins. And now we're like, okay, we've got Lashley, we've got Drew as a solid champion, we've got Lesnar, obviously, who, let's be honest, he can just insert himself into the match whenever he wants, even mid-match, I guess. I mean, because it's Lesnar. And then you've got Lashley now, I think, is up there, as well as Rollins, as well as obviously some smaller kind of contenders that you could throw out there, if you wanted to. It was kind of the smaller, Raws and smaller pay-per-views. But no, I quite enjoyed it. I'm a bit disappointed that Lashley didn't win, though. But I'm not disappointed. I wanted Lashley to win, but I'm not disappointed that he didn't win. I think there's more into it. I think Lashley is going to have a world championship run.
I hope so.
Move to SmackDown, face Braun.
Maybe anyone get it off Braun, perhaps. And then Lashley Reigns, I think I'll be down for that. If they don't do Lashley and Lesnar. But I think they do want Lashley and Lesnar, though. I think, and again, it's another situation now. We'll be saying about Jeff and Sheamus, like, Lashley and Lesnar in their 40s. How long are they going to have to do this for? And so it is a case of, let's get it, I think, within the next kind of 12 months, I think.
Get it done, yeah.
Yeah, so like I say, I thought it was actually quite decent. I did like the match. Massive fan of Drew. And I just love the Claymore. I love the move where you could literally just hit it on anyone out of nowhere, bang, it makes it look like if you hit me with that move, I'm going down, I'm staying down.
It's kind of one that you want to do on the game. You want to run at someone and press the button. Like that connection is just so beautiful.
Exactly. But no, I thought it was really good. I've been really impressed with Lashley like the last few weeks as well. Like I was never really like the biggest Bobby Lashley fan, but I think he's definitely, like, for me, he's definitely working his way up there as one of the top contenders to Drew's title. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing this again, maybe another once or twice, and then, hopefully Drew comes out of it with the title at the end of it. I'd like to see him have a decent run with it. And yeah, I think it's an unfortunate thing, really, that fortunate for Lashley, but the Jinder Mahal injury, because apparently it was meant to be Jinder at Backlash facing him, so it wasn't even going to be Lashley.
Right.
But so yeah, that was it for the main big title over on Raw. So now we're going to transition over to the Raw tag team titles. Well, so we were promised a tag team title match, but we didn't get a tag team title match, boys. We got the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders acting like fools again, fighting in parking lots, getting thrown through Braun Strowman's car, throwbacks to the skits that they've had with the golf clubs, the shields, the axes, bowling ball. Don't think Montez Ford and Bianca Belair will be having children anytime soon. We had obviously Ivar going through a window, random appearance from Akira Tozawa, and
his gang of ninjas.
Yeah, his gang of ninjas. Yeah, and then they all just ended up randomly.
Was the big ninja Shack? Like,
no, it was a guy called the basketball player that was in the performance center recruits.
okay.
Jordan someone.
Okay.
It reminded me of Super Shredder in the Turtles,
Yeah,
which is Kevin Nash, ironically, you know. But
He's 7'3" apparently, so big boy.
It's Shaq's size, isn't it? I think Shaq's about 7'3", 7'4", isn't it?
yeah.
So, I mean, I assumed it was a basketball player of some sort. I mean, look, I mean, while I would have liked to have seen the match, and perhaps I don't like them baiting and switching. I think that might be a problem. Like they was advertised a match and then the match didn't happen. But at least there was a reason why it didn't happen. You know, not like, you know. But I mean, I don't know. I quite like this kind of stuff. I think that, you know, Montez Ford in particular is just very good with this kind of stuff. I also think that the Viking Raiders, they've now been ruined. That their mystique side of them has been ruined. So there's no kind of going back to pretending that they are real Vikings and they're real serious wrestlers anymore. And I think this is just the way. Like, I mean, Jim Cornette, and he said in his podcast a few weeks ago, he said that if you're a tag team and into wrestling, do not go to the WWE. They don't like tag team wrestling. And this is just showing it. And he said that he furthered the point by saying, you know, if you want to go there and do skits, you want to go there and make a lot of money, that's the place to go.
Yeah.
I think this shows it. It's a fact of, I think something's had to give. Like Viking Raiders, they're entitled to. Everyone's entitled to make money, you know, in life. And I think this is how they decided to do it. I'll be interested in seeing a match between the two teams. I think they had a match about a month ago on Raw, I believe. And it was very good. So they can still go. And the Street Profits were last in action a few weeks ago as well, facing Lashley and MVP. But
obviously, you've got the referee now loving Ivar, that lady. So whether that's going to play into it eventually, like, you know, like the old crooked ref thing kind of thing, and he fancies Ivar, so give him a title. But...
I absolutely hated it. I think this is just really ruining my enjoyment of wrestling. You know what? Your YouTube channel, put it there. A spin-off show, put it there. Be in the Elite, something like that, put it there. This doesn't belong on a pay-per-view for me. It doesn't belong in that kind of world. And we'll get into this with the Edge and Randy Orton thing as well. But the underneath camera angles, the stupid, like the drumstick or whatever meat that is flying into his hand. I just hate it. I hate it all. Subtitles, like you're presenting this like this is, look, we know it's all scripted, but it's just, they're two different worlds. We have, like, you can't present everything like a real legit sport and then do this segment in the same show. You could do this segment somewhere else. This stuff ain't even that bad. everyone in it performed very well, come across very well if it was its own thing. But in the middle of a wrestling card, for me, it has no place. And because of that, same as a Firefly Funhouse, I can't invest. I can't enjoy it because I'm constantly thinking, I don't want to be seeing this right now. Show me this on YouTube and I'll watch it on YouTube and I'll praise it. But it does not deserve any place in a wrestling card. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think they've been teasing this for a while, for the past few years, and I think they've gone too far with it. And we've said it a lot of these matches at the moment. But why is there a monster in the trash? What is this, Star Wars? What the heck's going on there? It was absolutely, and go back and listen to our Star Wars podcast and talk memes, by the way. But it was absolutely ridiculous. Again, I feel bad because, like, I feel that they all performed quite well in it, and that on its own I would have enjoyed it, but it doesn't have any place on a wrestling card for me. And again, we'll go into more on the Backlash Greatest Match Ever stuff that they did there as well. That kind of, I think, do the same thing of, tell me what you want. What kind of presentation we're going for here, guys? We can't mix it up. Like a movie scripted fight, that's fine, but not on a wrestling show. It needs to be somewhere else.
Yeah, I described because my fiance fell asleep during the match. Well, his so-called whatever it was. I don't blame her, to be honest. She asked me what I thought of it and how could I describe it to her, if it was worth watching. And I said, imagine 1990s Power Rangers combined with the worst Jackie Chan film you could ever imagine. Put them together. This is basically what you've got.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. Like you said, everyone who played their part, amazing. I mean, it just goes back to, as you mentioned in the podcast, I just need to know, does that mean the Force is strong in that one, Scott? Because you don't understand the Force and I don't, so, I mean...
No, I don't, yeah. You know. I don't understand the Force, and I don't understand it now that WWE are using the Force. But, yeah.
They did. They forced us to sit and bloody watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think universally we're not too like keen on that match. So, well,
I like it.
Right, Lucas liked
I like
it.
it.
oh,
I
there we
know
go.
I like it. I like to do stuff, but yeah.
I like it on being the elite. Put it there and I'll be fine with it. Not because it's the Bucks and not because it's AEW, because that's a different presentation. I can suspend.
No. I get the argument. I get arguments from both sides of it. I think ultimately this situation is obviously pushing them into this kind of direction with some of the stuff. But I do feel that WWE in particular have kind of made it, especially the tag team division, made it this kind of thing for a long time anyway. You know, and it is just maybe using the circumstances as an excuse to do it anyway. But I think, yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see more, I guess. We'll see more. But I think, I for one, I like it. I think it adds something to the show, something different. I guess what they're going for is they're trying to get out of the arena and out of that location. Because another problem I think when the matches happen.
I think as individual segments throughout the show, it would have worked.
Yeah, I think maybe that too, because that's how they've done it on Raw. They've had it all split up, and
yeah,
it was very long.
Like in between each match, maybe, but you know, as one whole segment, couldn't get.
I must admit, the whole. I guess because what we're doing up to next was the main event being obviously 45 minutes long. It was a very weird show format-wise because, like I said, we had the two world titles go back to back. We had the women's matches go on quite early. When traditionally we'd get a women's match going on quite late. If there's two matches like there were last night. And then obviously not having a men's tag team match, even though I guess you had a tag team against Braun, made it a very weird kind of mesh. And it felt very much like the first few matches, you know, they were rushed and obviously they had time going to this, and this felt a bit like a too long of a distraction before the main, I guess. So yeah, I'd have been actually a fan if they made.
It should have been in between the two title matches, if anything.
Yeah, that actually really could have helped actually, because I think the world title matches suffered because of that being back to back. Yeah.
Cool. So, should we get into it? I know we're all dying to talk about the greatest wrestling match ever. Like not just of this year, ever of all time.
Of course.
So we had Edge versus Randy Orton. Obviously, it was filmed in advance. It was actually filmed the morning of NXT, and obviously some sad news coming out of it was Edge tearing his triceps, which actually wasn't done on the initial filming of the match. It was when they were doing the reruns afterwards to like redo little bits and pieces, and that's apparently how he got hurt. So so a little bit of a background about this match as well. Apparently it was originally scheduled to be at SummerSlam, but they said that due to lack of what they called star power at Backlash, that's why they put it on here. So you know, I think we mentioned it earlier, the lack of like the Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, like the kind of like bigger names on the show. They felt like they had to put something on, so they put this on for us. Both lads apparently thought it was a rib when they were told that it was the greatest wrestling match ever. Edge was like, what?
Yeah, he's been all week. He was tweeting, I just had the greatest coffee ever. I just read the best bedtime story ever, you know, so.
But yeah, I thought it was, you know, for me, like, I felt like I'm happy that I was actually wrong, because I actually said I thought this was going to be very, very short and just like RKO pin. But yeah, I'm happy to have been wrong on that. But I think it could have gone half the time it did.
Yeah.
So it went 45 minutes. It went longer than their WrestleMania match.
So
weird. We actually criticised for going too long.
Yeah. It didn't feel as bad as that though, weirdly enough. I think that you're running backstage a lot in that, but yeah.
So just a quick thing. So for the start of the match, I thought it was really lovely, the fact that they had Howard Finkel's voice at the start of it,
100%,
introducing both guys, and the whole Madison Square Garden thing gave it that big fight feel. Charles Robinson in the traditional like shirt and Dickie bow combo, telling the guys like, "Oh, you guys know how to wrestle pretty much."
Yeah.
And so what was also really nice and really refreshing, no Michael Cole on commentary for this, going vintage Edge, vintage Orton the whole way through. So yeah, I think I've spoken enough at the moment. Obviously, crowd noise being pumped in as well. So
Oh,
I'm gonna leave it to you guys now. So
why you got to leave it on that
on.
note, mate? Why have I got to pick it up there?
There we
The
go.
crowd noise, absolutely hated it. I thought it was pointless. It was ridiculous. There's a lot of arguments back and forth about whether or not they should be doing this in sports at the moment. Why? You've got those people there making noise, and the noise they pumped in wasn't that exciting either. It was just it was dull background noise to go along with the real claps that were going on. That it wasn't impactful. It didn't punch through. Like, if you're gonna do it, make it sound over the top. It was really, really bad in my opinion. It just felt like literally what it was. Someone was playing background noise over it for no reason. Now, it was mixed well. I don't know if it was live, pumped in or not, but they're clapping. We've got some fan audio clapping. Fair enough. But other than that, it just shouldn't have happened. I think it was terrible. It's another one of those situations where the guys in it performed really well considering the hand they were dealt. I thought it was a pretty good match, actually. I enjoyed it more than the WrestleMania one. There were some great spots in it and nice little touches. The promo package was fantastic. The one at the beginning of the show was even better. There was a lot of good in this, but come on, I don't want to go into too much because we did it in the preview, but calling it the greatest match ever was never going to be a good thing. And for that reason, I feel bad for the performers, but I'm very happy with what they actually did. The camera angle thing underneath them when they lock up, get rid of it. Get rid of it now. I'm all for inventive camera angles. That's why I like the one from above. That was really good. Some of the angles there, really good. But that when they were locking up and when he was in the bridge DDT, I hated it. It's just, what you do it and now the camera's gone. Where's that cameraman, WWE guys? Like, it's absolutely pathetic. Is this a film or is this a sports presentation? Don't do 2 in 1. Pick and go with it. So that's my piece.
Oh, fair enough. I think. Yeah, I thought it was much better than I thought it'd be. I think, it could have been a bit shorter, but I can see what they were going for. I didn't mind the crowd noise when I first watched it, but I watched it again this morning, as obviously it went a bit long and I wasn't expecting it to go that long. As I watched it again, and there were bits there were parts of the match where I liked it and parts where I didn't. The problem I had was, obviously, they did do it for about 90% of the match. They focused mainly on just in the ring and didn't focus on the actual crowd that were there. And that was fine because you could kind of zone out and be like, okay, I'm watching WrestleMania 25, But then when they do show the PC people, who they did get some fantastic reaction shots of, by the way, which I think there are probably going to be memes and GIFs going around for the next few days of some of the PC trainees' reactions to some of the stuff. It obviously took me out of it. I'm like, okay, no, I'm aware. I can see perfect screens now. I can see people meant to be standing 6 feet apart. Like, I'm aware that I'm in a 2020 wrestling show. In terms of their performances, I think Edge obviously is slower than he was, and there's bits of that match that did show that quite a lot. I was happy. I think Orton really did a good job in this one, and I think that the last half of the match, last like 10 minutes, I guess, of the match, where they were kind of doing move after move after move, that was pretty cool. How I've summed it up to people, and I've spoken about it all day, is that it is the best presentation of a WWE version of a wrestling match. That's how, in WWE world, this is a great match. If they were to do watching a great match history course or something, this match would play and people would go, yes. Had a lot of story. They obviously they had the shoulder injury and the neck injury go through it. I really liked that when Orton did that. I thought that was a really nice touch, which he's not going to get a lot of credit for. But modifying his back breaker into the neck breaker,
and that look on Edge's face to the camera as well from above. They did some really good stuff.
Solely like that. It's like a nice little touch, which people obviously I know aren't usually smart fans aren't Randy Orton fans. He knows that's not his audience, but I think we have to give him credit here and be a bit like, that was really smart. Like, you rarely get that where people would modify a move that they've done, especially for Orton. He's done a move for like 20 years.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed, has he, since then? But he modified it specifically for this purpose. I felt as well that, you know, they did the whole, you know, kicking up shows finishers. And I must admit, I jumped so hard off my sofa when Orton did the punt. That I hurt myself on the way down.
He's injured two people.
I banged my foot. I went down 1 foot first. I was so happy to see that move back. It's such a phenomenal finisher, and I think it really added that nice je ne sais quoi at the end. But yes, I agree with you, Dan. It could have been probably about, I'd say maybe 10 minutes shorter. I think they still packed quite a lot of punch in there with some of the stuff on the outside, the blood. They had finishers, they had chain, and they had a lot of wrestling at the start. So it was still, and it was more, it was definitely better than the WrestleMania contest, like definitely, which is very weird. But I just don't think they suit the Last Man Standing style, perhaps. But this style they suit, I think. But I did have some problems with some of the elements of the presentation, which, you know, while I'm not as hot on it as Scott is, I still think, they could have done a better job with some of these things. And some of them shouldn't have been in the match. But I can see why they're doing it. I liked it with the superplex for some reason. When the cameraman was in the ring with the superplex. And like,
that was good.
I guess in a way, they're trying to make you feel like you're with the action, even though obviously we're physically not there, you know, sadly because of the circumstances. But overall, it was much better than I thought. I do not want to see it continue, though. And I guess, you know, hopefully Edge will be okay. Hopefully Edge will be okay. But it looks like we're not going to see it anytime soon.
I think we do
another Edge return at the Rumble, isn't it?
I think that's it. I think we need to take Edge off TV, even if he wasn't injured. I think taking him off now for a bit and then bringing him back when the audience are there and really getting the best out of it, really.
Yeah. I mean, both of you summed it up really well. I don't really want to add anything because I feel like the issues that you had, Scott, and the way you looked at it, Lucas, I kind of looked at the same way, and hopefully a lot of people looked at it in the same way that we did. Dodgy shots here, but then sometimes you had a really good shot out of something bad. You know, as you said, like the idea of the cameraman being in the ring all the time and trying to get all these Hollywood shots, but then you had a great moment with the superplex.
Yeah.
There's positives and negatives coming from both sides. I don't really want to badger it too much, but what you both said, I agree with. Can't really match or say anything different. So I enjoyed it from the aspect of wrestling. I enjoyed what they done. But as you said, it's time for Edge to kind of, now he has to, it's time for him to just step away from the screen for a bit.
Yeah. It was definitely
Isn't that weird saying that after two matches, though?
I know, it's just the timing of it, isn't it?
They go away now.
I think it was a great thing, like you said, a great video essay. Like, this is the kind of thing you should show to people in the PC. This is the kind of thing you should show people in NXT that have just signed contracts. So, yeah.
The four, like, kind of big, like, moves that people are going to remember, obviously, like the Olympic Slam from Randy Orton, the I'm Prettier from Edge, Pedigree
Edge-o-matic, bringing back the Edge-o-matic.
Edge-o-matic,
cool.
yeah. And Edge hitting the rock bottom as well. Where
that I didn't understand. But
I was disappointed that he didn't like rock up at people's elbow, but you know. But I like the fact that it was obviously Orton doing like the callback to Triple H with a pedigree, and Edge obviously doing Christian's move. So
they did a lot to make this feel different. With Orton, you know, saying he's weird, like, I'm gonna effing kill you. Things that you would remember, things that made it different. I like I said, they had a really, really tough challenge here, and for what they did, perfect. Presentation wise, that's where I have my issues. But yeah, great match in general.
Definitely.
Just not the greatest ever.
No. So there we have it. There is our review of Backlash 2020, and so I promised you guys at the start that we were going to obviously be doing this little table thing of all the points of how how our predictions are going. So let me explain. So since we're running with the same lineup, the same four of us, it makes sense that we're going to do it with the four of us. And the scoring system will go as follows. We get 1 point if you correctly guess who is going to win the match. You get nil point if you do not pretty simple, really.
Yep.
However,
Getting it so far.
However, there is a bonus point that you can get, which is if you successfully guess that a match is going to end in like a double DQ, double count out, no contest, something like that, because you're being a bit risky. But with risk, it always goes the other way. If you get that wrong, you lose a point.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're going to be running this all the way through all the only main roster WWE pay-per-views, not the Saudi ones, just the main ones. And it's going to culminate, as ever, on the grandest stage of all, WrestleMania 37. So, as you can see from the graphic, Lucas is currently trailing on 6 correct predictions, while me, Scott, and Rob are all tied on 8.
Ooh, okay.
That's all. It's all to play for.
It is,
Well,
yeah.
I've got a long time to go. To get
Exactly. So that is it. So join us for the Extreme Rules predictions, and we'll see, can Lucas make up ground? Can he do just some dramatic comeback, and it's going to be one of the comebacks for the ages? And yeah, so, or is it going to be one of us are going to go out and just take the lead completely?
Break away from the pack. Or...
Break away, yeah. So that is it for Backlash 2020, guys. If you liked what you see, like, share, subscribe on YouTube, Rebellious Noise, Facebook, Twitter. Find us, Rebellious Noise. Thank you, Free, for joining me.
Thank
you guys for watching. And we will all see you at Extreme Rules. Peace out.
We've got a lot more wrestling content coming this year as well, guys, so please subscribe to Rebellious Noise on YouTube, check out revnoise.com, and check out our podcast, Talking Beans, where we'll be talking about the main wrestling shows as we do throughout the year.